What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer, doing something just a little bit different today. I've been looking through a lot of cards recently, Yu-Gi-Oh! But I actually kind of have, it's not a goal, but something I really like about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that there are 10,000 cards. So I like to familiarize myself with as many as possible. I think that's fun to be able to recognize any card that's ever existed. And there's some cards I've been going through that seem really cool and that I wish got some more support. So these are 5 archetypes that I hope, get a new round or a new wave of cards at some point in the near future. Some of them are a little more extreme than others, but I'll talk about it as I go on. Oh, there's a little bit of a preview, I guess, coming up. But I want to start with Monarch, and it's not like Monarch needs a lot. I feel like they need new main deck monsters. Like, that's quite literally, like, the biggest and maybe only issue. So you have Erebus, who's still good and will always be good. This card is awesome because you either take something from their hand, or you shuffle a card. Like, just the best form of removal, pretty much. And it also goes to, like, 3,600 attack, right? Because I think Domain boost by 800. Yep. So this goes to 36. So it's going to get over anything. It's going to get rid of anything. And, Ether, also a very good card. And I know that Ryza is used, but that isn't Flew Under Ease. It's not horrible, but the fact that you get to summon it during your opponent's turn, which is so important. Now, you can use Escalation, but, I mean, you have to just think about modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, is Escalation enough? Probably not. Also, like, yes, you can technically tribute summon with Ether too, but of course it's way easier to do in Flew Under Ease. Maybe that's something they should think about doing for Monarchs, like making it easier to tribute summon during your opponent's turn. Although actually no, that wouldn't work. Ether can only summon itself. Yeah, so really it's just this, and that's not great. This card rips apart, a card from your opponent's hand, which is like, yeah, I mean that's pretty cool. A couple of them do that. The only real form of like disruption they have, like they need something that is summoned off of Ether. Like a big monster that when it's tribute summoned or special summoned, maybe special summoned by the effect of a Monarch monster, if they're so afraid of making the card overpowered, right? They could just easily restrict it in that sense. If you could bring out something that's good with this, other than the Levier Dragon, but that's not even a Monarch card, which is annoying. It pretty much is. But yeah, that would be cool to see. Maybe just like one other. Like this targets a card on the field. I mean, I guess a lot of these cards would actually be significantly better if you could easily summon during your opponent's turn. But I don't exactly know what it is, and I kind of like custom cards. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, I enjoy the idea of going on custom cards, but it's also just kind of like, yeah, I don't know. It is pretty lame to make custom cards, obviously. I mean, not lame is probably the wrong way to describe it, but it's just like a meaningless activity. But Monarchs feel like should get some more support because it's a really fun deck to play, and I feel like it could be like super playable because if you're the thing is like not negating your opponent like from going into the card effects, or like if they special summon from the extra deck, I should say, and their effects are negated. This literally stops that from your opponent even touching the extra deck, which makes it still good to this day. Next is Stellar Knight or Constellar Knight. I'm pretty sure they're both connected. I haven't even read all the cards, but I really like cards like Pallades. I really like, Platomi. I like their extra deck. They're like, first of all, they're colorful, which, who doesn't like colorful cards? But I feel like they can make new stuff, and, if this card is XYZ, so I'm going to return all their cards on the field to the hand. Like, they have neat effects, but it's just way too slow and way too hard to get these out. So if they can stream like that, of course, that'd be very good. They also have a very, very good hand or counter trap here. If they send a face-up Stellar Knight monster, you control to the graveyard. So it's like a super Omni negate. It's also not a hard once per turn, which is always nice. But the rest of the cards are just very average, right? You just get to add one to your hand, and they're all different levels. Like, there needs to be one that can, manipulate, all of that. Like, it's just obviously very far behind. It has a random pendulum, which is pretty weird. I'm sure it has something to do with the lore. I don't remember this from any of the animes. Could be wrong about that. But otherwise, yeah, that's pretty straightforward. Skull Servant. So you could also put Gate Guardian in this category as well, but that's like literally the poster child of archetypes that need to get new support, or cards that need to. It has some really cool alt art too, and the only thing that, yeah, it has one of the each, but they're like all bad. I'm pretty sure. This is the ritual sent to the graveyard, and you get the special summon a summon skull. Okay, so I think it's part of the Archfiend archetype technically too, but this doesn't really do anything at all. You get to, this is Maiku. It does destroy all monsters your opponent controls with defense less than, but it's like, oh, okay. So as long as it has like less than 25. That's still very situational, very specific, and also you can't use your battle phase that turn. So I can't imagine if there was like a whole new wave of support that they would expect you to play this card. This is the XYZ. So like it's almost set up, right? Because it always counts as summon school. Why does it always need to count as summon school? There's very few situations where you need that too. So like there is something there. And it's also part of, yeah, also treats as Archfiend. If a summon skull you control would be destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can detach material. I like that they all float into summon skull. This is the synchro. It's a general synchro. You cannot target any summon skull with card effects. Yep. I mean, that's just super lame. If this fusion summon card you control sent to the grave. Oh, okay. It literally doesn't even have an effect. And this is with Red Eyes Black Dragon. So it doesn't have any useful cards at all. Like literally none of them are good. But I think there's a lot of historical importance of this card. I'm pretty sure. I obviously wasn't playing the game at that time. But I know like in the early meta it was like the best one tribute before Jinzo came out. And yeah, I would like to play this card. I think it looks cool. Going on next into Ally of Justice. So this was originally going to be, I was going to make another video, and I probably still will, of normal monsters that deserve their own archetypes. And I saw this card, and I'm like, wow, this card art is beastin'. Like, this is a cool card. I want to play this. And I'm like, oh, Ally of Justice. Actually, I do think there's some cards, but they have some good effects too. And I think I might just go card by card on this one, because I have gotten into this a little bit. Like, it could be good if there's just like a new wave of support that changed typings for your opponent's monsters, because they're very specific. But if your opponent does control them, it's like insane. But yeah, like who doesn't like the way that this card looks? It's amazing. It's almost like a mechanical Winged Dragon of Ra, or like a mechanical bird version. This is just a normal monster. This is a big one. If your ally justice monster attacks a defense position monster, that's not too good. If your opponent controls 2 or more monsters, including a light monster, you get a free special summon. Okay, we'll see how good the synchros are. But that ain't great. I think this is really a going second deck, but I think that's what I remember the most about it. When this card is normal summon, you can target a face down defense position monster, take control of it. It has to. I don't know if there's an easy way to bring this out. That's unfortunate. If it was a 4, that would be decent. Like maybe you play Book of Moon. Maybe you have a way to like flip your opponent's monsters face down. But as of right now, yeah. And I don't even know, like, how good is that? If this card destroys a light monster by battle, draw 1 card. Then if you drew a level 4 or lower dark monster, you can reveal that card and special summon it. See, this is what I'm thinking about, because it's like really good anti-light support. And while that's just not like normally a thing, not always at least, even though it's like a very popular attribute. What if there was a field spell that made like all opponents your opponent controls and in their graveyard become light, and then it has some like, when it's activated, search an ally of justice, or whatever the case may be. Like that's just kind of how field spells are, just continuous spells with a different symbol at this point. So I think if you can do that, or I guess you could make it a continuous spell, but it sounds like a field spell effect, because it does affect the field. Everything becomes light. So like anytime this destroys something by battle, you get to draw a card and then, reveal it. Even though I don't even know if you would use this technically. Like I don't even know how good that is, but okay, it gains 700 attack against all light. Like again, it's very anti-light. Let's see here. Neither player could special summon light monsters. I mean, yeah. Well, that's actually kind of fair. Like if all your opponents, the field spell is like a super big floodgate, and it only counts kind of like Secret Village of the Spellcasters, but for Ally of Justice. While you control an Ally of Justice monster, all monsters your opponent controls become light. I mean, I think that's fair. I think that's super fair, because this would just be a crazy floodgate. that would be, it's pretty much the same as Wind Barrier statue at that point. So if that card's legal, then I feel like this card can be too. If that field spell existed and had that effect. Just a thought. Ally of Justice, Thousand Arms. It can attack all face-up light monsters your opponent controls once each. Again, that's kind of feel like what it needs. The field spell needs to make everything light. Ally of Justice. If this card battles a light monster, negate the effects of that monster. That's just kind of lame. It's all attacking lights. If a light monster on the field, destroy this card. So we probably wouldn't play this card. That'd be bad. Okay, it just destroys face-down monsters anyways. You can discard a card from your hand to return a spell and trap cards from the field to the hand equal to the number of face-up tuner monsters on the field. Very specific. Probably not worth it. Once per turn, you can discard one card, then target one face-down defense position monster your opponent controls. Change that target to face-up attack position. So this is very like anti-flip support, right? So like maybe like a part of the new support like flips all your opponent's monsters face down. A Tyrannosaurus type effect, if you will. I think that would start making this archetype a little bit better. It actually just kind of change everything. Okay, when this card battles a light monster, remove that monster from play after damage calculation. I like this idea, this field spell idea. Ally of Justice, Core Destroyer. At the start of the damage step, battles a light, destroy it. So lots of removal in the deck. And then this is Ally of Justice, Cycle Reader. You can discard the card and then target up to 2 light monsters in your opponent's graveyard, target it. Banish those. So if they were all lights, like I feel like there needs to be a quick effect monster, kind of like Numeron Wall, that activates this field spell. So it makes it like more consistent. And then you'd be able to use cards like this. So you could just banish 2 monsters from your opponent's graveyard turn 1. Or you just have it as a hand trap going second. Or, excuse me, if you go first. And this is Ally of Justice Unlimiter. You contribute this card, target Ally of Justice monster you control. Target's attack becomes double. Yeah. Okay, so Ally of Justice cast Catastor. This is like very similar to these 2 cards, just as a synchro, a 2200 attack body. This card gains 200 attack for each light monster in your opponent's graveyard. That would potentially be a lot better. Imagine you're playing Dragon Link and you're able to synchro this out and you have that theoretical field spell. This would be huge. This would just be a giant body because it's all about monsters in the graveyard. But I don't even know if that's good. It would have to be like what, 7 or yeah. It would go up to like maybe 4,000 if your opponent's like super greedy and super combo heavy. Probably not worth it. Ally of Justice Field Marshal must be synchro summoned if this card attacks. If this attacking card destroys a face down defense position monster by battle and sends to the graveyard, draw 1 card. That would be cool if something else, again, had a Tyrannosaurus effect. That seems to be what it is. Face down monsters and light ones. You gotta make the whole deck about that. Once per turn, if your opponent controls a light monster, you can activate one of these effects. Target a set card your opponent controls, destroy it. Send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard, destroy all spells and traps. Send your entire hand to the graveyard. Look at your opponent's hand and send all light monsters in their hand to the graveyard. Yeah. I mean, very good. It's like situationally. It doesn't say minimum though. Isn't that interesting? Send your entire. So if you just have 1 card in your hand, yeah, you can only activate 1 of those effects. But it is a cool Harpies, like, in the deck. These are machines. Interesting. So these are probably machine duplication targets. And I would imagine new support would also be... What is machine duplication? I always forget the real requirement for it. Because I only know it for Cyber Dragon Core. Target 1 machine monster you control with 500 or less attack. 500 or less... Nope, none of them meet that requirement. That would be too good. Okay, fair enough. But that is Ally of Justice. I do like it. I hope it does get more support in the future. And I think this is the last one. It's a Numeron. So there's a few things. I really like Numeron. I think it's fun. But there's like very glaring problems. And I hope it doesn't get fixed generally. And what I mean by that is, let's say you activate Numeron Network. I just played it with the Stump Sky Striker deck that I play. But you summon these 4 out. You try to go for game, obviously. If that doesn't go through, which, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh! Of course, your opponent is probably going to have something. Your options are to, as of right now, go into C1 or a Link 4, which the best targets, I think, are like Avramax, Appaloosa technically, and I like to do infinite tracks because it's kind of like an unaffected monster, at least monster effects. So it's just kind of like meh. But that would be cool. And you can't go into F-Zero because like the cards state specifically that you can't use Numeron monsters. You know, Zexal, of course, was like the thing to summon before, but that's not possible. A card is super banned as it should be. So like, what's next? You know, like this you can't just have like, oh, banish all monsters on the field. It's just not good enough. And these are awesome. I love these cards so much. I think they're from the anime, and I never got that far, so I kind of want to visit these monsters. I think they're from the anime, but this gains 100,000 attack. I mean, who doesn't want a Yu-Gi-Oh card in their extra deck that says 100,000 attack? And I feel like there is some decent setup. So this has to be on the field. It's unfortunate, right, that Chaos Ritual requires this, so you have to first turn, summon these out. Somehow doesn't work. Go into Sunya. It has to properly be banished and then properly come back, and then you have to make it all the way to your main phase 1, you know, for Chaos Ritual to go through. But, you know, C1000 is also, this one's like not actually it's not super hard. It's not the most impossible thing in the world, but hopefully they can make that easy. Like if a face up, it has to be destroyed by a monster effect. So you could actually use your own card. Unchained would be a good example of that. Doesn't just have to be from your opponent. But yeah, rank up magic Numeron Force. So this can be sent. Target one face of XYZ monster you control, special summon from your extra deck one number C with the same type, which I think is what this is. And then this is for the big body. Numeron Fall, target a utopia, because you can send this as well. So that's something to consider when choosing like what the new support would look like. I mean, it would be nice if there was a new general like Link 4. Like Link 4s aren't actually the greatest things in the world. If you really go through the whole list, very few of them are useful. But target a Utopia, special from your extra deck one Utopia with a lower rank by using it as XYZ material. I don't know how that would even be possible. Probably it wouldn't be. And I mean, yeah, that's about it. Numeron Storm control Numeronius monster destroys many spells or trapped your opponent controls as possible. So yeah, like I want to be able to use Numeron Network as much as possible. It's just not very easy right now. And like you probably don't need main deck support, probably. But it could be in the form of a lot of things. I mean, it's obviously a very packed like extra deck. Like this is probably like the minimum if you're playing pure Numeron. Although you have 7 more spots. It's really anything you could do. So maybe there's like new ritual or rank up spells or something like that. Just something to bring this out earlier or make it even like a little more possible. Like I guess probably more consistently bring this card out. It's just a quick effect destroy, right? I destroy another monster. It has good effects and you want to be able to use it. But yeah, that's about as far as it goes. You guys have that? Let me know what other archetypes you wish got more support and what you thought about the ones that I chose. Did you like my list? But other than that, that's going to do it for today's video, and I'll see you guys next time.